No eating in the classroom, please. No eating in the classroom. Keep your mask on.
Sorry.
Take it outside. Thank you.
I apologize for that.
Just don't let it happen again.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to apologize for that. I worked all morning and I didn't eat
everybody's
breakfast.
mask on at all times. We've had some positive cases in here in our classroom, so we all need to keep our masks on.
That's great. Thank you.
So yeah, don't make me the mask police, please. Keep your mask on. I don't want no naked nosies. My goodness. You guys are all such smarties. All right, speaking of which, before we get started with class today, let me share my screen. I was going to ask you guys for some help. I'm coming up with an addendum to the syllabus, but I've got it someplace else. Let me find it. I have too many sessions going. I've lost my way. Let me admit everybody. Okay. So trying to get everybody admitted and doing all of these things at the beginning of class you guys have been just doing great, but some of my classes have just been a zoo, and it's been really hard to get attendance taken and all that kind of stuff. As I mentioned, I did get an email day before yesterday that there was a positive case in our room, not in our class, in our room. And I was able to look back through attendance and see that that person hadn't been in our classroom for 2 weeks because they had attended remotely. So that kind of made me feel a lot better. I don't know about you guys, but I was like, whoa. But it also made me realize how important all this attendance tracking is. That, you know, what if I didn't have it right? What if I had made a mistake? Because it's really hard to get everybody's names and all of that kind of stuff. So, you know, I've been asking for help on that since the very beginning of the semester. Well, I'd like to update the syllabus in regards to those things so that we can make sure that things happen the way they should. So I wanted to show you this, and before I send it out to every class, I was going to ask you guys if you've seen anything anyplace else. Sometimes students get out a lot more than us teachers. I get stuck in here and I don't get out at all. So if you've seen anything someplace or something that you think we should add, let me know. So here was what I was going to add, that we have our Zoom sessions available live. Of course, we all know that it's better to be seated. And I've been getting a lot of impression from OTC that since we're in a seated class, they want us all here unless we're sick. I'm backing off from that now. And I'm going to say, because you guys have been doing such a great job working with your study groups and keeping up with things, if you feel more comfortable at home, I want you to make that decision now as to where you're going to attend from. Realize that if you're at home, it's not going to be an identical experience to being here. And you're going to have to really work hard to get that study group to keep working with you, right? Because it's going to be their tendency to kind of leave you out if you're not here and the rest of them are. So you're going to have to take a little bit of control and effort. So that's the first thing. When you make a decision that you're going to be changing your pattern, I need you to let me know. So if you've been coming to class, but you're going to start staying remote, just send me an email and let me know. You only have to do it once. Just let me know you're going to change your pattern. Then if you decide being remote just isn't working for you, I don't know about you guys, but when I attend these meetings remotely, I mean, like after 5 minutes, I'm kind of wondering what's going on outside, and I'm wandering off and things, but I've seen students that do really, really good with it, but it's up to you. But so just remember that that's going to be your responsibility. So if you've been remote, you decide you're going to come back, again, send me an email so I know. So I just want that email one time when you're going to change your pattern. So read through that for me if you would. Let me know if you think of anything else we should add to that section. Oh, and that last one is because I got an email from somebody's personal account that said, I've been sick, I'm not coming to class. I had no idea what class they were talking about. I have 150 students. It's kind of hard to just think, oh my gosh, that's so-and-so from this class. Well, I'll get that logged. You have to use your OTC email to communicate with me. And tell me what class you're talking about. Anything else we should add there? Have you seen anything in other classes that makes you think that there's something else? Is it unclear? I'll go on because you guys are thinking, I don't know. Then in the Zoom session, I want people to set their names appropriately. So everybody's been doing a great job putting in their account name or their username or whatever. Let's all use our full names. If we use our full names as our Zoom names, then our study group partners know who we are and we can find them. My other 120 class, that's a hybrid class that only meets once a week, they've been a little stressed because they only meet once a week. And I was kidding with them yesterday. I have like 4 people whose initials are JW, and every one of them was using their initials in the Zoom session as their name, and 2 of them are attending remotely and 2 of them are attending in class. So, you know, I need your whole name. And then your study group can find you easier. And then if you're going to be remote, add -remote to it. Now, what do you guys think? Should we say that you should add your location no matter what? Or do we only want someone's location if they're remote?
I like the remote.
Just remote?
Yeah.
And then like like this morning I had a guy who was in the Zoom session twice, you know, once on this computer and once on his laptop. He could put -laptop or something on his second session so he would still have his full name. Okay, so I think that'll work. Do you think that'll work when you're looking for your study group people? You can find them in the Zoom session and know where they are. All right, and then the third thing, which again, this is why I'm asking you guys, because we just haven't had a problem with this. Because they've changed Zoom to where I have to manually admit each person, we need for that to happen at the beginning of class. So I'm going to say that I'll keep watching that the first 5 minutes of class, but after that, I can't really guarantee that people will get accepted into our Zoom session. And so if somebody decides they're going to work remotely and they miss the Zoom session, they can't get in, you know, they're sending messages to everybody in class and we're all ignoring them effectively, then that person would need to watch the video when it comes out on YouTube, because we're still going to give everybody that information. You're not going to be denied it because you couldn't get into the Zoom session. You might just have to wait a little while for the video. So like yesterday's class, I just now got the video posted. Sometimes it can take even longer because there's a lot of turnaround time that goes with that. Okay, anything else?
One thing, whenever I went to MSSU, whenever you emailed the teacher, they told you to add your personal ID, like your ID number. And so that might be helpful for you if they send you that, so that's an automatic, like, you know, it's not this person who might be this person.
Right.
It's an automatic thing.
And that would be good. And I can find it in the email eventually, but I have to do some digging. So I'll add that. Any other ideas? Because I would appreciate any of them. That's some stuff. Okay, I want to send that out and I'll post it on Discord for everybody. And if you think of something else, just let me know, because I think anything that would make things easier for you guys is going to make things easier for everybody. So, you know, if you say, my study group just hasn't been here at all, I wish they would, you know, email me if they're not going to be here. Let me know, and we'll say that that needs to happen, because our groups are super, super important. This morning for the C#2 class, we had some guest speakers, and so it was 2 former students that work at Jack Henry now, and they're pretty successful. They enjoy their jobs and they really like it. And everything they said, they just kept telling everybody that the reason they really like their jobs now is because their manager is really good at communicating, and that everybody lets everybody else know what's going on. So they always feel like they're kind of in the loop. They're not, you know, if people are working from home, they let everybody know. And they said they just like that he kind of tries to keep everybody communicating and doesn't ever blame people for stuff, which is good. Communicating is so important. I'm going to see who's communicating here. We've got somebody getting on our Zoom call. All righty. So last time, I've got my folder contents here of everything that we worked on. This is all the stuff that we've done so far. And we started with our Python quick reference. And I think we need to revise that a little bit because we were sort of rushing with things. So I'm going to get it open. And then the other thing I want to open is my commission program. And whenever we're working with Python, we saw that if we just double click on a file to open it, it doesn't necessarily work the way we would expect. So I'm going to open idle. And then within idle, do file open to open my Python file. Let me find it. I know it's, I was right there at it. I should have just been able to double click, but no. I went into spring and it's still fall. Okay, so our sales commission one is the one I wanted because it's got some syntax here that we don't have in our quick reference yet, right? So let's review real quick. We set this one up because it's just like the pseudocode that we did last week. We started out declaring our variables. We said with Python, we have to use this keyword global if we want a variable to be accessible throughout all of our subprograms. And then we defed or defined our input module, our first subprogram. So let's get that def statement in our quick reference notes. Right now, my notes, I have the print statement and I have the input statement. Now, when you're using Word, let me show you some Word magic. If you need to add more to your table, if you click right over here at the edge of your entry and press enter, it'll add a new row to your table. And usually when I do that, people say, how'd you do that? So I want to add a few more rows, and I'm going to leave a blank line, and I'm just going to put that def statement. So our statement syntax is def for define, and then our function name. And then we need a set of parentheses. Am I sharing? No. Yes, I am. Okay. So whenever we're working with a def statement, def keyword means define a function. After the def keyword comes the name I want to give that function. So that name can be whatever I want it to be as long as it's a legal variable type name. And then after the name of the function, I have a pair of parentheses, an open and close set of parentheses. We're going to learn more about what goes in those parentheses further on down the road. But for now, we're just going to always put the open and closed parentheses. After that, we have a colon. And if you remember, when we pressed enter after we typed that colon, IDLE automatically indented our next line under this def statement, because the colon indicates that this statement is a body. It begins a body. So I'm going to put that over here. It begins a body, the function body. Now, all of the code that I want to be in that function, but that's all really a subprogram is, it's just a few pieces of code that do something specific. If I want that function to end, I'm done with it, I just quit indenting. And once I am not indenting anymore, Python knows that function definition is complete. So there's no statement or keyword to say end this function. It's just as soon as we are not indenting. So the function body is always indented. And that's a Python rule. So I'll put that over here too. Function body is indented. Now we highlighted in green things that were calls to functions that the system already has. This statement doesn't do that. But what we could highlight here is this function name. Let's highlight it a different color. I'll go with like aqua blue. And then down here under the table, I'm going to say this is a programmer defined name. So that just means it was a name we gave it. So we could change that name to be whatever we want. If I add one more row to my table, I'm going to put in func name, open and close parenthesis, and that will call the function. And again, when I do that, that function name matches whatever I said it was. Go to Walmart. That's my function. Make it go away. And I think there was one other one that we saw in our salesperson sample code. Let me find that screen. There we go. Whenever we input our data, we saw that Python by default on the input statement was going to create a string. And we are wanting numbers for both of our inputs. So we used the int function to cast that string as a number. So we can put that wherever you want in your quick reference. I'm going to go ahead and put it under my input stuff just because it kind of went with it. So I'll say int and then variable. And we'll say that cast set as an integer. I need to make that I lowercase. Now, when we look at this one, notice we can get crazy with our color coding really fast, but we just want to kind of do enough of it to remind ourselves what are things that are already pre-existing and what are things that we create. Now, again, because these notes are just for you.
So if the int is integer, what do you use for a floating point? Or would you use the same
You would say float.
Well, okay, got it.
Good question. Mhm. Very good. And with our examples, we don't really do that a lot.
Okay.
So that's a really good question. These are your notes. So add whatever you want, change it however you want.
So if we're gonna have an exam, are we allowed to use these notes? on
No,
the
you
exam?
can only use your collaborative notes with your study group, and those are designed to encourage you to work with your study group. And that's why you can use them, because I want you working with your
And
group.
another question I wanted to ask you. When-
Do what?
When is the exam?
The exam was last Wednesday.
Oh, wait.
It was over, you guys did it on your own.
What, did I do it?
Huh? We'll let you figure that one out.
Do it. All right. Strange.
It was just so easy you forgot about it, see? And you were stressing yourself, and you don't need to.
Oh, okay.
I think you did it. Okay, anything else we need to add? I think that's most of our stuff that we've done so far. Let's save that and close it. Question? Somebody had something.
About the global role?
The global, that's what it was. Let's add that. I'm gonna put it at the, we're at the bottom. And I'll just use that term global. And I'm gonna make it not have a color because it's not really a function. It's more sort of like that def statement. It's kind of just a keyword. So we'll say global is a keyword to define or update a global variable. So I should put, I'm going to go ahead and put that word variable after it. We're all good. Okay, that looks good. Good job. All right, I'm going to save it and move it out of my way. And last time, we noticed right away, and we how much we had some problems with different versions of Python in the room. Some people had one version, some computers had another version. And up here in the front, we even had some computers where if they had errors in their code, it wouldn't tell them anything. It didn't come up with a prompt. It didn't come up with any error messages. Somehow the Python installations had gotten corrupted to where it wouldn't even do anything. Well, Python always has these issues. And then actually, anytime we're working with open source software, we can have these kind of issues where, you know, we could find Python to install in a million places online, and they're all different, and they all set up different settings for us at the system level. So it would be nice if we could find a place that we could write our Python code where we didn't have to worry about having Python installed on the computer, or we didn't have to worry about what version it is. And voila, I found us a place. So we're gonna try to do this. So hang on first and let me show it to you, and then we'll get everybody set up before we work on our assignments. Now, let me see. I have to get signed on to the right Google account. And I think I'm there somewhere. There we go. So this tool that we're going to use is a new Google tool, and it's called Colaboratory. And Colaboratory is based on a concept called Jupyter Notebooks. And Jupyter Notebooks are a very sciencey application for Python. So if you worked at a university that did a lot of data collection for a certain area, they would have a lot of Jupyter Notebooks where they could keep the data and the code kind of together, kind of organize things. A lot of this notebook that I created that I haven't given to you yet, but it's from our chapter 2 stuff. So I want to show it to you. When I open this notebook, I have some different sections. I set up a section for our Game Over program and a section for our Fancy Credits program. and a section for our salesperson's commission. So in this collab, I can add kind of easily these different sections. Now in our game over section, I have 2 cells, and the first cell is the actual program code. The second cell is the output. So I'm going to clear the output and run this game over program here using Colaboratory. It takes it kind of a second to get initialized the first time. And then after I run it, we should see all of our output. So it's just like using idle, except that it's cloud-based, and we're all going to be using the same version of Python, so we don't have to worry about that, and we don't have to worry about installing Python. Now, if I go down a little further, I'll show you, it does give us some neat capabilities. Under fancy credits, here's the code that we wrote, and if I run, it'll execute that code. If you notice, it executed all the code when I first opened it, so I don't actually have to go through and run everything, but I can. Now, this thing is waiting for me to type something, so I'll do that. All right, and then our salesperson's commission program, we have, this is the exact same code that we created using idle. It's just copied to this other facility. So it's just the same as creating a file with data information using Notepad, and then I can open it in Word. It's just that we're using this other tool to edit our source code. So is everybody okay with that, switching tools, just saving it under some other kind of platform? You okay? You okay? Seriously, it's important. I had a girl one year, one professor stand up and run out and never come back. She had to change editors. People can get upset about things. So don't get upset, just let me know and we'll talk about it. It's okay. All right, so let's get everybody working with Colaboratory. What to do? First of all, open a new tab. If you're logged in already to Google, to your Gmail, log out. We don't want to use our personal accounts here. Then, let me log out here. Use the app picker thingy and choose Drive. You have to go to Drive to get it to give you the right prompts for what we need. And on Drive, say, use another account or create an account or whatever kinds of things it's offering you. Now, when you're at this point, when it's asking you to log in, we want to click on Create Account. I got the sound to work in it, but it quit letting me touch it. Do for yourself. Now, right here, the most important spot, click this Use My Current Email Address instead. You won't get that prompt if you try to create an account using some other Google approach. Now, once you click that, Use My Current Email Address instead, put in your OTC email address. So your whole thing, your first name and your last name and your password. And then when you next, we'll see what happens, but you should have to wait for a confirmation email. So you'll have to go to your OTC email to do that confirmation. Working. Sometimes with Google, I tell you, you can do something one day and the next day it won't work the same way anymore. Looking so far, asking any weird things. Now go to your OTC email and find that confirmation. should be asking you for your phone number if you did your OTC account. Do you use your OTC account? Or is it, it's still making you do it? It's optional? Because I don't think you have to. You can if you want to, but then it's probably going to do some sort of.
Mine says I have.
Yours says you have to?
Yeah.
Like I said, Google always makes it fun to try to have people do stuff that does different things to different people and different stuff. I have another student who had requested all his data from Google. He was a little surprised at some of the data that he got. He said there was voice recordings from back to when he was like 9 years old.
You can listen to them?
Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
That it's just thousands and thousands of little bitty files.
That is scary.
It's a little scary.
Oh my God.
He was a little.
Right.
Okay, let me get there now. I think and there. Okay, so at your Google Drive now, that you've got everything set up using your OTC email account, we want to use the new option, and down at the bottom, click on more, and then down at the bottom, connect more apps. I broke it. I actually did because I'm sort of like not really logged on. Let me get logged on right. Now, if yours is working and you have more apps, search for Colab, C-O-L-A-B, and you should see the Colaboratory, and it's the yellow circles as an icon. Okay. It always surprises me that it's doing this single sign-on. Okay, so now, if you've got the Colab tool added, you should be able to say new, and under more, you should see Google Colaboratory. To create a fresh one. So it lets you do it. I'm sure everybody can create one. Code in
I don't see it.
You what?
I don't see it at all.
You don't see it at all?
No, I don't know.
Did you like just do it?
Fresh, what do you mean? Like, yeah, I know. I was just like confused. No, I don't see it. I looked it up and I didn't see anything.
I was going to put it either. Didn't find it. Colab. Are you sure you kept your email address right then? You must not have do that if you're not getting the email. Let's have a typo in it. Or you want to have the slowing down? Oh, okay. I'm actually making late.
5 minutes maybe?
5 more minutes. I'm moving quite a bit already. I have instructions for this to post for them, but I don't know where they are. Because in my many, many Google accounts, they're somewhere.
It would use like 40%. That's what it is. So,
Okay.
well, like, I'm like, I'm trying to Google it. Like, shoot,
By next week, I'm going to be making rules that I work from home. Okay, so we have this beautiful collab thing. Has everybody got it? Are you sitting here ready to type some code? So what we've got, look in here, is basically collab defaulted to code. But whenever we want to add something to our collab notebook, these are our choices. We can add code or we can add text. But the text could be, you know, like HTML code or something like that that makes amazing things happen in our notebook. But we're going to mostly be focusing on our code. So if I wanted to start typing, I could just type in my comments. And then as I go through my code, it should be just the same as using idle. Instead of us recreating that program, let's just copy and paste it from idle into Colab. I've got mine right here, and I will share it. Let's see. In the chat, I'm going to add this file in case you need it.
Are you faced with Google reports? Would you like a people working report? Try Control P. Control P. Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay, so in the chat of our Zoom session, if you don't have this code, I've added the PY file for our sales commission code, because I'd like for everybody to try it in Colab. Make sure that you've got it. Now, each day when we get done, after we've done some coding, pseudocode, whatever, my intention is to always share that with you guys as the class. We want people to do it on their own, but I don't want you to not have it. So I'm hoping with Colaboratory that'll actually be easier to do too, that I'll just be able to share the link to the notebook for everybody. Okay, so do you have code? Let's try running it. Now that I have all this code here in my Colaboratory file, I'll just go ahead and click the run icon. It's going to build a virtual machine just for me. So it does take it a second that first time you run. And then if you scroll down, you should see it sitting there with that first prompt waiting for you to type in some information. So I'm going to say my sales for the month were 2,000. And it slides over a little bit. I'll scroll over. My commission rate was 10. So my commission for the month is 200. Does it work?
No.
Why not?
Error name commission rate is not defined.
So find it, fix it.
Okay.
If you copied my code, it's right. Your code will help you fix it. Do you see it? You're so good. Yay. All right, so in Colaboratory, if everybody is working, let's try a few errors, you know, because we got to have errors. Let's see your error. That'll be a good one for us to start with.
Me?
Yeah, I'm going to stop my share. Okay, take it. Show us what you got.
Could be something from before, but here's mine.
We'll find it. Can you, now with Colab, you can control scroll to zoom in, so let's make that reasonable size for people to see. That might be too big. There you go. So what's wrong with that? Everybody?
Let me tell you. Probably something tiny.
We scroll down to the bottom. We should see the error message it's getting.
Yeah, I see it.
You see it?
Yeah, the commission rate above it isn't matching the one below it.
Oh,
Yeah,
also.
really is the, like, okay, so maybe first you're down about 4 lines.
Oh, yeah, you misspelled.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look at this.
Okay.
Note, can you guys see it on the projector? You might see it better on the Zoom session, but notice how Colaboratory has highlighted all instances of that commission rate, and that fourth one that's got a little bit different of a name didn't highlight. So if I look, so click on one of those commission rate fields, variable name, get in your commission rate itself. Yeah, see how it's highlighting all of them?
What?
To the left, commission rate equals it, but no, down.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Quit moving your, click somewhere,
Under sales amount.
click in the commission rate.
The other one. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
I know, listen to me. Click in the commission rate and stop. Now, see how if you just click in the field
Yeah.
instead of beside it, it highlights all of the ones around it. This one is the one that's bad, so it's not highlighting anything else. So click in the one of the others of your commission rate now. See how it's highlighting them all?
Cool.
Oh, okay.
You
I
see it?
now. I see now. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you got it fixed. Run it. Is that good? Yes.
Hey,
Now what you
that
got?
was not defined. Good Lord.
Oh, it's another one. This is great. I told the other class, every semester when I do this code, I think, oh, I should abbreviate commission because it's such a long word. But then I never do because it's too much of an opportunity for errors like this that we all need to experience. So if we made it just a short name, we wouldn't have all these problems.
About this.
Okay, so what's it saying now?
Saying commission to earned is not defined.
And what line, stay down there for a sec, scroll back down. Notice how it has the error to line 24, so it's showing you what line of code it didn't like. And when you scroll back up, can you tell what it is?
Well, I'm assuming it's this because there's a giant red line under it, so.
Well, the whole thing has a giant red line under it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what?
You scroll up to the top.
So if you click on your commission earned global, does it highlight all of those commission earned? Yep.
Yes.
So,
Oh, you misspelled commissionary, not global.
Commission where? I'm like,
Go down. Online.
Another define.
Keep going down. Yeah, right above that one. Global commissioner.
Goodness, I hate those.
no, thank you so much. That's so helpful for everybody to see because that's just what we all
It's just something I'm
do.
never gonna notice.
No, we all do it. You'll get used to looking at it and figuring out where they are because
I
it's
probably
just a
will.
thing. Yeah.
Oh, it's
So
totally worked.
awesome. You got it. We appreciate it because commission is a big, awful word to spell, and that's why I made it that way, so we can see all those typos. Yay! Okay, you can quit sharing. Thank you, Brendan. That was great. We'll figure it out. All right. Now, we're all going to have a lot of questions about Colaboratory. There's going to be things about it that are confusing. The first thing we're going to have to decide all together is how do we want to turn things in? Because in all my assignment instructions right now, I say for you guys to turn in to upload the .py file. I don't want you to have to go to all the trouble of, you know, copying and pasting and do things like that. So we could just share this Colaboratory file with me maybe. Let's try it. Click your share button. Will it let you share? Try and share with a person close to you on your row, because I want you guys to get into each other's code and see how cool it is. Colaboratory has the same kind of feature as Google Docs. You know how in Google Docs you can all be editing at the same time? We can do that with Colaboratory. So you can have all of your study group in the same code file, working together and testing together. So I want you to see that you can do that. And then we'll start with our.
Reduce it.
We call you consider refereeing.
It is DC09, 05.
Stuff with me all the way to like second grade.
It makes you feel better my last name is but it's like I don't need to do anything with that. Assuming that there would be on their
Sometimes it can be
having another error that yeah, like whenever
after the fact. Okay, can you share? Share with each other. Can you get into each other's files? See how it is, see how it works? Because when we have some group assignments, you guys don't have to code it all separately and then put it all together. You can just do it in one file.
You want us to share with you as well?
Do what?
You want us to share with you as well?
To do what?
You want us to share with you as well?
No, just go ahead and try each other's. Make sure you can get into his and all of that.
Oh.
Now, whenever you turn in an assignment, make sure you use the copy link option so that I don't need security access to your file, so that I can look at it. Now, after a while, I'll probably have you download these notebook files and submit the actual file. But for now, let's try our link. And of course, if you forget and you're not sure, just submit something that's going to get me some Python code, and I'll find it. Okay, questions about Colaboratory? Can you do it at home? Can you remember how to get things set up?
Yeah.
Maybe. And I'll find my document and get it posted for you, because I've got it somewhere in some Google account. Today, then, we want to work on the supermarket pricing thing. So you're going to take your pseudocode and flowchart and make it into a Python program. So it should be very similar to our salesperson's commission program, but we're going to start with our supermarket pseudocode. So the way I would recommend to start would be for each of you to start trying to get started. And then after 10 minutes or so, get together with your study group and kind of see how everybody's doing. Now for this particular assignment, remember I want you to each turn in something yourselves. So we do want to have separate Colaboratory files for each person. But you're welcome to share and do it any way that you can. And I think most everybody at least has one other person in their study group here. We do have some people that are at home. So our people that are remote, please reach out to your study group and make sure they're getting you included. And we'll keep going that way. Okay, I'll be here if you have any questions. Let me know. Otherwise, good luck.
I'm not quite sure, honestly. So, what does this summit do with them? By the way. Oh, wait. Oh, no, that's there. Supermarket is due on the 27th.
Yep.
Wait, 27th?
Yeah, and that's Sunday night, so it's a weird, but I just didn't want you worrying about it next week when we come in. So just get it out of your way before Monday.
Yeah, what do you think of weight this?
Sorry,
When do you think we can work on this?
I mean, if do you have somewhere you need to be?
No, I don't. I'm trying to study for giant classification in every class, but it's fine. I'll look at that later.
I can send mine to you.
No, it's fine, it's fine. I've been studying for it all week. It's health and nutrition, because I've been having a lot of trouble with it. I don't want to have to worry about this later on, so.
Yeah.
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 Oh, yeah. No, of course not.
That's pseudo.
Oh, yeah.
So you're trying to make it different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it has to look like.
I can share with you like, yeah.
And we're missing Austin, right?
Huh?
We're missing Austin.
Yeah.
I had moved over and got me. That's perfect. Oh, Austin is on the Zoom session. Do you want to grab him?
So we have to make moves though based off of what we have, right?
That's the one I shared. And yours is. And, oh, that's right. Only because we have options.
What size is it? Hey, you can do that. Just make sure that you're moving it with like this.
I don't think you need to worry about that, because you don't need to send it.
Yeah, because I don't know what I'm
Right, right. You're gonna do.
I'm gonna run it with.
That's the other 16.
Because right now, I'm just trying to. Sure. Oh. Still fix it?
It's on there. I don't have any of this.
Okay, so. So this is not. I think it was. Evidence on the support for the stuff that you're messing with her. Okay. So you can, so below, this is what I'm looking at. The item equals. Does that work?
That's one good thing about no head plus one. That's why he's like, I'm not on this new computer.
Well, I was, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I just, don't have any of this here.
Okay.
No, I,
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if I could share this with you. We'll see how.
Oh, wait. Is this it?
I like seeing
Well, I know you have syntax. Why don't we open the road? You don't.
No, this is the pseudocode, so it's not actually gonna like.
Oh, there we go. All right.
It's gonna like.
You don't have to. Right. We're not just going to. I don't like doing it though. I'm a very hands-on person. That's a good idea.
Well, you're gonna have to change a lot, so it might actually take more work to, change all of this, so
So we're doing, supermarket. So we can.
Threatening you with that phone.
Just go get it.
And it ran too fast, but guess what? That should be very similar. to
Yeah.
what you're at the screen,
But there was make sure that you and I were the whole some kind of like the entire document. No. I remember seeing. Yeah. I saw, like, well, you can,
Ms. Riley,
Mm-hmm,
I actually have a question.
okay.
So, does it matter, like, if you name every, or if you make every variable globals or not?
So for this, it was just top numbers.
Is the variable global capture 1, 2, 2.
So the hip hop we yeah.
So like in our case, we had one module that set it and one module that read it. So we had to make it global.
Right, her pads.
I got like 50 for doing this for whatever reason. I can't put it on this one for whatever reason. You don't have enough yet. I'm gonna see your because I use it right now. Get that cut down on this computer. It's cool. It is cool. Yeah, it's right there. Wow, something dark. Have you ran?
Yeah.
You don't want.
No, you're fine. I don't want to shut off just about. I just haven't had this one.
Yeah, sure. More than 1 month. That's one of they were good.
Yeah, I like this so much better than that.
Yeah.
Oh, and then more you could I watched the hand.
I have reference as far as people who can watch things, but like,
Right?
oh, sure. I forgot. Shit.
So we have to do the globals for the as if you're the same. Making.
Yeah, I got it.
Like, when you run it, so, this is unexpected, you do call them, yeah, like the ones that are being used in the. So this is the input one, and these are the variables.
So if we copy
Is that what you're?
Yeah, so we have to make
Yeah,
a line.
Well, I don't know about that, I think it's just variables.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just rewriting it.
They speak front. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
You make the unit price and total price. Total price. First.
Or unended, it's not matching outer image. So I have to just indent these again.
Your goal.